Hello everyone, here we are at the workshop. What I'd like to talk about today is those new knives, which you may have already seen that sort of trailer video for across my channel. Well, I have the knives now. I've had them for about 10 days or thereabouts, which I've been sort of testing to see what they're like and if they sort of live up to what Display are claiming to be their usability, ergonomics, and all the rest of it. What Display have been doing recently is moving many of their hand tools towards a specific form factor. Let me reach for one of the brushes, for instance. This sort of triangular shaped kind of form, which I often say across these videos I really quite like, because it falls into the hand really nicely. You hold them very securely and they give you lots and lots of control. Obviously it's great for paint brushes, but also now for cutting knives, which I want to show you today. Display have been on somewhat of a design spree, and they've moved one knife forward and using that similar design, but they've also come up with a couple of new designs of knife, which I want to show you today. So this video will actually cover 3 knives, and not just the 2 new ones which you've seen potentially in that sort of trailer video which went live a few days ago. So what I'm talking about are these 3 guys. As I say, there are 2 new ones to talk about, the AK-DK2 and A1, but also the PT-DK, which is also quite an interesting design, and also the one we're going to talk about first. So this one is, again, it uses that lozenge shape, the sort of triangular shape design, which you see in a lot of hand tools from Display. Let me just get the blade pack out as well. So let's put that guy down there. So it comes in its little protective pack. So let's see what Display have come up with for this guy. So as you can see, it's quite chunky. Again, which I quite like. A lot of the knives I feel that are out there are a little bit too slim, and they don't have that ergonomic element to them. I quite like a chunkier, more sort of like a highlighter pen sort of chunkiness, if you know what I mean. And this one definitely does have that. You'll notice it's quite short. The actual form itself is quite stubby, and again, that can be quite useful in the hand for more control. But as I say, it uses this triangular form factor. Very nice, solid connection with the cap, which I really like. And let me just show you the actual knife itself. Now, this isn't a full size one. This isn't, I guess, what I would call a full size number 11. So let me put that down for a second. Let me go and reach for a number 11 from good old Alpha, and we can compare the 2. Now, that I think is what we would say that's a traditional bog standard go-to size of blade. Absolutely, model makers mainstay. We all use these. I get through hundreds of these, if not thousands, every year. I'm sure you do too. But if I bring Displays in, you can see the actual size difference. Now, the application for this, of course, is ultimately more control. The fact that it has a shorter blade surface does give you that more control. So you do have a choice, something to go to when this guy maybe is a bit too overkill. Maybe it's a little bit too large, too cumbersome for you, maybe, and you want a little bit more control. Let me put that down for a sec. This guy could absolutely be your go-to. Now, what I would say is, ultimately, this is going to be the replacement for this guy, which has been on the store for some time. So if I compare these 2, you can see they basically use, let me just do that, they basically use identical blades. But the form factor, as you can see, is quite different. It's the new ones, as I say, it's stubbier, it's much thicker, it has this this triangular shape, which this guy clearly does not. this has been the mainstay for some time, and I think Display wanted to move on with maybe the ergonomics and make a knife which gave you more control, particularly in the hand, which I think is absolutely true for this new one. So let me put the old one away. So that is the new one. That's something I've been testing for a while. Perfect for, I say, small jobs. This size of blade is great for cleaning up 1/35 scale figures, for instance, or somewhere you need very, very precise control, which I feel you absolutely do get in the hand. So it feels very secure. It's, as I say, it's quite stubby. It doesn't give you that. It's certainly not overbalanced, because I think a lot of larger knives can be absolutely that. They tend to be a little bit top heavy. You feel the knife wants to move that way. Because it's all plastic construction again. They moved away from that anodized metal for their knife, for this particular knife. But that's absolutely fine. I felt that in the hand that works beautifully well for me, particularly for small scale touch-up work, or this guy is very good for cutting for decals, for instance, that kind of thing. Photo etch, brilliant piece of engineering for that when you need some more control. Yeah, I've been pairing this with the cutting block, for instance, with photo etch, and those three elements together make photo etch cutting an absolute breeze. In the box, you get obviously the knife itself. You also get their handy holder for the spare blades, which of course I always open the wrong end. There they are. You get 20 of these in the pack to start you off, which is quite excuse me, is quite generous. So that's for the used blades, or if you don't dispose of them anywhere else, you can absolutely keep them in there. So that is the new one, the AT-DK. They call it a drawing hobby knife. I would maybe call this more of a more accurate cutting. That's absolutely what you get with this. When good old number 11 is maybe overkill, and you don't want to have the risk of an entire blade length maybe cutting into whatever you need to do. If you want something highly precision, something that is very focused on a very small blade size, this guy could absolutely be the one. If you need spares, those also available on the site as well. These are DKBO2s. Again, you get these in exactly the same pack. Yep. So when you need some replacements, and again, these come in packs of 20. And as the box says, the actual blade is 30 degrees. Is a 30 degrees, which again, I think that gives you the accuracy you're looking for. Excuse me. Let me just grab a cup of tea. Now that's excuse me. Right, so that is PK-DK. So let's put him aside. Okay, so we've looked at PK-DK. That's the new knife from Display with the new form factor. What they've also done, and that's the sort of trailer which you may have already seen, is for these two. Is for these two. The AT-DK1 and 02. Now, what Display have done, they've split the knives in two. The knives themselves are identical, the actual form factor, but they offer a narrow and a broad version. So let's have a look at the broad version first, and then we'll have a look at his sort of partner, if you like. Second, so let me get the spare blades out as well, because unlike previously where you had to buy the blades completely separately, you do get some spares in the box this time. So it comes in its usual protective wrapper. Let's put that down. Okay, so that is the new broad version. As you can see, the form factor is very much like a standard, or at least a general hobby knife. Again, if I bring number 11 from good old Alpha in, you can see together, if I do that, the actual form factor is, lengthwise, etc., isn't too far off. So in effect, that's going to be a knife which you may be very familiar with, at least in its length and weight, because this one, it happens to be made out of Dispay's red anodized aluminium, whereas the previous was all plastic construction. Again, nice solid cover for the knife, which I really like to keep these protected and also safe. Let me bring that a bit closer to the camera, and let me just drop it to the bottom there so you can see against my workbench. Now that's the broad version, which they've now designed with this new sort of form factor. This one, unlike the last one, isn't a loss in shape. They've gone with this sort of hexagonal design. Again, doesn't roll off your bench, which is quite nice. In the hand, I quite like that. Sometimes a knife which is too tube-like, doesn't have any kind of shape or anything to sort of grab hold of, I'm not very keen on. I call out these alphas again because they have lots of texture, the rubberized end. Display have gone for this this sort of texture again, which I really like, because again I tend to wear gloves a lot, so that is very, very useful to keep the knife in my hand, and I don't feel it's going to slip out. Weight wise, they talk about this in the video, that they've weighted this quite nicely. I talked about that just a few minutes ago, that sometimes knives can be a little bit top heavy. The front end with all the chuck, etc., can be a little bit unbalanced in some cases, but this is absolutely not. It does feel in the hand that it's weighted evenly. It is quite nice. And again, this shape in your hand does feel very secure. I haven't felt this is going to drop out of my hands. And again, it's that texture there. Lots and lots of accuracy, of course, precision. Those the bywords for the stuff across my store, and particularly for the display tools. Again, so this is the broad version. Let me just put the cap back on so I don't stab myself. So you do get a pack of spare blades in the box as well. Let me just pop that open for you. There they are. You get 20 in the pack, I believe. Let me just double check that to make sure that is correct. I think it does tell me on here somewhere. In fact, I think it doesn't. So yes, it does. There it is, and you get 20 blades in the actual box itself. Let me just close that. And of course, these are also available as extras, spares when you need them on the store as well. Again, these come in packs of 20. And interestingly, like the previous knife, these blades are also 30 degrees. Often with these, I'm often dismayed about how they attach the actual knife to themselves. I've tried lots of these types of knives over the years, and one of the reasons I've gone with Display and Alpha is because their chuck technology is very, very good. What you don't want, of course, is when you're taking this guy out, not to be able to get it back in for a start. And of course, once it's in place, you want to make sure it's absolutely secure. And I like the fact that I can tighten this up and that blade is not going to move anywhere. Again, that speaks to the accuracy that you could achieve with this guy. So that's the broad version. So let me just put that aside. Let me just get the narrow version out of its box, and also the excuse me, and the blade pack. So this is AK-DK2, the other narrow version. So again, it's exactly the same form factor. So let me just bring the other one in. What you'll find is that these two together really do complement each other. They've decided that they're going to go for this this hexagonal design for these two, and give you the choice of narrow or broad. It's kind of up to you how you actually do this, because clearly the blades themselves have different applications. Of course they do. Now what you'll find is, if you look at the actual knife itself, yeah, absolutely, it is ultimately identical. But let me just undo both of these, and then I'll show you what they look like together, the broad and the narrow. Again, let me bring that to a lighter area so you can see exactly how they do actually differ. And again, it's up to the application. It's what you might have an application for both of these, either the narrow or the broad. Of course, what I do is I have all three, because I like the idea that I can just reach for whichever kind of knife I want to use. But I think the fact that they've given us narrow and a broad is very, very interesting, and it gives you that level of choice which may not be possible elsewhere. And of course, it avoids having to keep swapping blades all of the time. What I would say is with the narrow, those narrow blades are the same as the blades that came with the other one. So the blades for this guy are the narrow, and they fit this one. So on the store, the DK-BO2s are for the narrow, which is DK02 here, and also for the AT-DK. I'm sorry to throw all those acronyms at you, but that's all you kind of need to know. There's two sizes of blades, really. There's the narrow and the broad. Excuse me. And you basically decide, I guess, what you want to go for. Do you feel that a narrow or a broad fits really what you want to achieve with your knife? Of course, I use both of these. I use these two together along with my Alpha, and those three I feel gives me the ultimate control, and also gives me massive amounts of precision right across my different kind of model making, because they all have different applications. I think that's the absolute point. You can absolutely try and do everything with one blade, but I think really, if you're looking for better ergonomics, better precision, and certainly more accuracy, then maybe looking at these kinds of knives might be for you. Now, let me just bring in the third one. So I just want to show you all of these sort of together. Excuse me. As I did say, we're going to cover 3 blades. So that, in effect, is, let me just rotate that so you can see all of the blades together. Hopefully you can't. Let me just try and do it that way, so you can sort of see them together. You can see how the form factors differ, and you can also see how the blades are slightly different as well. Now, as I said, it's kind of horses for courses. It's whatever you feel is ideal for your application. But Display have given us, as I say, these 3 quite different kinds of blades to give you the choice. And I think that's the whole idea behind this redesign, to give you, a loss in shape if you want to do that with altered amount of accuracy. But if you do favour a larger form factor, you prefer this kind of shape with this texture, and if you do, then you have a choice of two different kinds of blades. So ultimately, they've given us a wide range to choose from, and it's kind of up to us to decide which one is the best for us. As I said, I use all 3. It may be the case that for your particular kind of model making, a broad might be absolutely your go-to. Pair this with a standard 11. Those 2 will cover all of the bases. Or you may feel you need to be more accurate, and you may need a blade which is smaller and gives you more precision. These 2 together, or either with a number 11. And the iterations or the permutations sort of go on and on. I quite like the fact that we now have this kind of choice. Again, build quality, the form factors themselves are absolutely superb, as you would expect from Display. But do please feed back to me. If any of you do get to any of these, please do feedback to me how you feel. Do you feel this form factor works for you? Does the more sort of triangular form factor work better for you than the hexagonal, and vice versa? I use both. I think both are very good in the hand, but you may find that you have a very different experience. And I always like to feed that back to Display, because they are always interested. How are model makers actually using their tools? Really, how are you using them? Are there any issues? Are there any shortcomings? Can we improve? Please do feed that back, and I'll feed that back to Display, because I think ultimately it's how you use those on a day-to-day basis when you're building your model, whether that's standard kits, whether you're doing I know people that they're building wooden models. They're building them out of styrene. They're building them out of different kinds of material. Lots of scratch building, different kinds of tools for different kinds of model making. So as I said, please do feedback your experiences if you do decide to give one of these a go. So those are the new knives from Display. Interesting range, which I think have many applications. As usual, any questions, any queries, do come back to me, and of course, keep on modeling.